Well, it's 9:05. You want to go ahead and proceed? Call the meeting to order.
That'll be up to you, Mr. Chairman. Just so you are aware, though, because we only have 3 members on the board, you do have a quorum with yourself and Mary Margaret, sir.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Mary Margaret, would you make a motion on approving the agenda for today's meeting, please?
I make a motion to approve agenda from the previous meeting.
Okay, I guess I'll second that. And we are all in approval, so approve the agenda. Mary, do you have any conflict of interest that you need to state to the board before we begin our meeting today?
No.
Okay, thank you. Are there any citizens on the line that would like to make a comment before we get started with our financial report?
And the only person we have on the line is Mr. Wallace with Carroll Atlantic Realty, so I'll recognize Mr. Wallace if you'd like to make a comment.
I'm here to answer any questions.
All right, not this time, but certainly just want to make everybody aware that Mr. Wallace is the realtor for Carroll Atlantic Realty, which is the firm that represents or manages the 5 Points Commons properties. So Mr. Wallace can address any questions during that topic on the agenda. And I had someone join us in with the number ending in 2721. Is that you, Mr. Stutzman?
It is.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning. Rick?
Hey, Danny, do you have any conflict of interest that you need to disclose to the board today prior to the meeting? Okay,
No, I do not.
Mr. Grissom, are you available to present our audit?
I am.
Jackie, do you want to make any introduction?
This is Lee. He handles the audit for the town of Youngsville, and he oversees the audit for the ABC board. I worked mostly with Austin on the ABC board audit, so I actually haven't talked to Lee at all this year, I don't think.
Okay, Lee, well, if you'd like to go ahead.
Take it over.
All right, we'll lead right in. My name is Lee Grissom, partner at S. Preston Douglas. We audit roughly 10 to 12 ABC boards in North Carolina. I'm here to present the results of the audit for June 30th, 2020. First off, clean audit opinion. In our professional opinion, you can rely on this financial information. It's clearly correct. In our professional opinion. The audit report on August 25th, 2020. Overall, the books were in great shape. Management was very organized. We primarily worked with Jackie and our direct audit director, Austin, for our firm, worked with Jackie mostly for this audit. So we were able to get the financial information on a timely basis. We had no disagreements with management. They provided full access to records. There were no new accounting policies, and we found no illegal acts. And overall, from a financial standpoint, we saw very positive operating information for fiscal year 20, similar to fiscal year 19. 19 had a large purchase of land as well as debt. This year, we didn't really have anything like that, so it's a pretty straightforward year. The one issue, and I saw an email from Rick Hauser just a few minutes ago asking about, there were some findings of going over the budget. So really the main takeaway, other than a lot of positive operating information, would be, the board and as well as Jackie needs to do a little bit better with the budget and budget amendments. So what we had is, I don't know if you have a copy of the report, but it would be on page 18. There's a budget to actual schedule. And capital outlay, it was $14,733. I think that was new cash registers. There was not a budget amount for that in the final budget. So that was a budget overage of $14,000. In the operating budget, however, I looked at that this morning. There was actually, the the ABC board was under budget by 26,000. So I mean, that could have easily been amended. And as well, the distributions budget line item.
Haley, can I stop you right there? I'm
Yep.
going to say that, so this goes back to our whole, like, we recently had discussions with Lori Lee about the difference between accrual books and cash basis budgeting. And knowing what I know now, the budget would have been handled differently for the previous year. But I'm thinking accrual-based accounting for everything, and so that's why there was not a budget in there for cash registers, I guess. Does that make sense?
Okay, so you know the adjustment going forward. I mean, you know it.
Sure.
Okay.
I need to budget on a cash basis, but that's why there was not a budget. I mean, like, everybody knew about the cash registers, but yeah, it doesn't matter. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, am I missing something? This is Rick. There is a original budget figure of 25,000 for capital outlay.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was wondering that as well. But it sounds like Jackie was saying, the expenditure was known. I mean, was it brought to the board's attention, ever discussed? I think there was a June meeting with the board that we purchased or approved by the board.
Yeah, the cash registers were known by the board. Yes.
Okay, it just didn't go through the formal process of amending the budget.
Well, again, this goes back to, I didn't understand that the budget was supposed to be done on a cash basis. So that's why it's not shown on the budget.
Okay.
And Jackie, are you assuming that you were going to put those as capital assets and depreciate them over time? Is that the reason why you wouldn't have expensed them? Okay, got it.
Which is where they are on the balance sheet. So
yeah, no, I understand. I understand completely. Thank you.
Okay. And also on the distribution, I would make sure in fiscal year 21 that, because a lot of times you don't know what that distribution is going to be, but I think you can use historical information and predict that number for that distribution amount. Because I think you only had, your final budget had $80,000 total distribution, and if you looked at the previous fiscal year, your distributions were over 100,000.
So I
So
think,
that would be an easy budget.
that
fix.
would be the cash. I would argue that issue is the cash basis budgeting to accrual accounting again.
Well, I think, this is Rick again. I think when we prepare our budgets going forward, we need to budget at the beginning of the year what our minimum distribution will be. And then at the end of the year, if we make more money and we decide to make an additional distribution, we do an amendment at that time. But I think by and large, ABC board should be budgeting at the beginning of the year what their distribution will be to the town based on what they feel like their income is going to be, and then pay that out quarterly.
And that's what we've done for the current fiscal year. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Any additional questions regarding that?
Nope.
Okay, and I'll just hit a couple of key highlights from the financial information. Operating revenues totaled $1.8 million, which was up 28% fiscal year 20. The previous year was also so the town of Youngsville ABC board has been trending in the last several years with positive trends from a revenue standpoint. Retail liquor sales were up 28%. Income from operations for fiscal year 20 was $153,000. That was up 38% from the prior year. The ABC board's total distribution to the town fiscal year 20 was $115,693 compared to $97,363 in the prior year. And again, there was no significant fixed asset purchases or debt in fiscal year 20. The inventory observation went really well. Austin, who we mentioned earlier, I mean, he had no issues at the year-end inventory walkthrough and count. He said it was better than the majority of the ones that he works on. that was really positive as well. And really the only thing as far as comments from us, again, is it's just related to the budget stuff that we discussed a few minutes ago. So does anybody have any additional questions? And Rick, you asked a question about investment in capital assets, that amount on page 5. I don't think that number actually was correct. That's your $555. That actually, what that is capital assets minus the debt. So you would take that 211,364 minus 173,809, and that equals 37,555.
Okay, good. All right.
And that economics factor, yeah, management reviewed the financials, and I talked to Austin before this call, and I mean, some of this stuff, yeah, I mean, that probably could be updated, but that, management had an opportunity to edit that. So I guess that's probably a roll forward footnote for economic factors. Footnote.
Yeah, well, Austin and I had to go back and forth numerous times to get the financials right. So that was one thing that I did miss. I was more worried about the numbers than reading from the words.
And I do want to say again, I mean, the management did a great job as far as, getting us the information. We were able to get the audit out in a timely manner as well. So, I mean, other than the budget, I'm very pleased.
Yeah, right. On the long-term liabilities, we did renew that loan in May of 2020 because it was originally set up as a construction loan, and then we did have to renew it last year to make it a regular loan. So that statement probably does need to be, it's not a construction loan anymore.
Okay. I've read it that might have been the date that the loan was first taken out, but if that's the explanation for the May 2020, that's fine.
And one of Rick, the other question you had about the cash flow statement, and I talked to Austin about that again. He was just presenting that number, I think, on the cash flow statement the year before, and I think he just changed the classification in 20. That he left the same where it was the year before, just rolled forward that number.
All right.
All right. Any additional questions?
Mary Margaret, do you and Danny have any questions you want to ask?
Not right now about the budget. Thank you.
All right. I mean, I don't have anything else, guys. If you don't have any additional questions, I'm ready to wrap up.
I'm good.
Yeah, and one of our last discussions or board meetings that we had where Greg from the North Carolina ABC Commission attended, I do want to bring it to the board's attention that they were cautioning us on our level of working capital. Based on your experience and comparing that to the other ABC stores that you guys audit, how do we match up with other ABC stores as far as our level of working capital?
It's very comparable. And that the way that distribution entry that we make, it's at the very end of the year. It's basically accrual, and that number, that distribution to the town. I mean, it could easily be reduced if you wanted to increase that working capital. So yeah, I mean, I think it's very much in line with what we would see in ABC boards.
You're talking about the level of working capital or
Yes.
the distribution?
The level, where it is.
Okay. Well, I just continue to caution the board that at a low level of working capital like that, if you had any unexpected expense, we'd be hard pressed to cover it. So
And I
Makes
do
good
agree with that. I guess I was answering what we're used to seeing, but I agree. I agree. It's better to have, from a conservative standpoint, have a little bit of cushion. I do agree with that. I was just saying what we normally.
Okay,
It's pretty much in line with what we see. We normally see.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, do we need to make a motion to approve the audit as presented?
That certainly would be appropriate.
Do I hear a motion?
I motion to approve the audit as
I second
Okay,
that.
thank you. Thanks, Mary Margaret. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Hello.
Are you still with us, Rick?
I
Can
can
everybody
hear
hear
you.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Okay, so all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, motion approved. Thank you for joining us today, and if you appreciate all your hard work.
All right,
Go
thank you.
in.
You're welcome. You guys have a good day.
There's something wrong with the connection, Phil, because you keep going in and out.
I think it may be Rick, just temporarily, because I'm not having any trouble hearing anyone else.
Okay. 1 minute you guys are there, the next minute don't think I have a connection.
I can hear you.
I can't hear you all the time. Like
I
right
think it's
now.
Rick. Yeah. Can you hear me, Mary Margaret?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Yeah, it's Rick.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
I can now,
Hello?
but then.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you now, Rick.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take it off speakerphone then. Okay, the item on the agenda is the consent agenda for the minutes from our regular board meeting on September the 4th and also the special call meeting on September 15th. So the action requested is to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve, and now get closer to your speaker.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
That's much better, thank you. Yes, you have a motion to approve.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is old business. The first thing here is to consider the contract to sell the ABC property to the upset bid winner. Phil, would you like to bring all the things to the board, please?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So we completed our upset bid process, and after the first 10-day period, there were no upset bids. So we've satisfied the legal requirement to accept a purchase price of $395,000 for the sale of the property. Currently, the seller is in his due diligence period, and so he's going to be doing whatever he feels is necessary to investigate the property, inspect it, things of that nature, and is also going to be working with his attorney to prepare documents that are going to be for the closing process. And so that's your update right now. I don't think any action is required at this point other than to just generally indicate, I don't think a motion is required, but just generally indicate that the board is still interested in proceeding. And then I would recommend during your November meeting that you formally accept the offer and direct us to proceed. And we anticipate that we could, close before Thanksgiving, assuming that, the seller doesn't find any issues with the property and wants to proceed. That's all I have, sir.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Does anyone have any comments they'd like to bring to the board? pertaining to the property now that everybody's had a chance to think about it?
I'm just wondering, is there any way that, there isn't any way that we could guarantee that he's going to build a facility that will include retail space so that we can still go back over to that spot, or if we're going to be stuck, because we want to maintain our downtown position. So is there any way that we can guarantee that that's what's going to happen over there, so we will have a position to go back to in the same location, so we don't lose our prime location? That's my concern. And I don't think that's possible.
Right. Yeah, Mary Margaret, the short answer to that question is no. There's no way that we can guarantee what he's going to do. However, that's the reason why we're in negotiations with Mr. Wallace, who's on the line, who represents the owner and operator of the Five Points Commons. And so really kind of long-term, the plan would be to just move across the street and rent in that location.
Well, I understand that, and that's what I don't want us to lose that opportunity by selling the land. That's my only concern.
Understood.
I still want somebody to come along, buy it, and then go, oh, I was wrong. That's not what I want to do with it, and we're out of spot. The perfect spot. Anybody else have a thought?
Yeah, I was going to ask Danny. Did you have anything you wanted to say, Danny?
No. After touring the other location, the proposed location, we're still basically in the downtown area, and
yep. Excuse me, but
literally across the street. So
our parking's going to be worse, though.
I
think
we're going to have. I think we're going to have better because we're not going to have to worry about the truck and the unloading and stuff, and with like we do now on the delivery dates and having to have people move and that type of thing. So I think it would be
okay.
Plus, we're getting a larger location. So I'm good with the sale as long as we can maintain a presence in the town.
Okay, that's understandable. Well, let's move along then to talking about the proposed remodel of the ABC store. We'll have to change that on the agenda and talk about store expansion and moving to a new location. So we have a lease proposal that Phil sent out to everyone this morning for the space across the street. It looks like it's about a 4,068 square foot, about half and half as far as retail and warehouse. That's almost a little bit more than double than what the space that we have now. The proposal there is for a 10-year lease with 5-year options to renew after that, so for a total of 20 years. The rental rate there of $11 per square foot. It's on a triple net basis. They're looking for a 3% annual increase, and they estimate that our shared common area maintenance expenses would be equal to about $4 a square foot. So all in, we'll be looking at about $15 a square foot. And the renovation is expected to be complete for move-in date sometime around March of next year. And actually, we need to follow through with the sale of the property. There wouldn't be any reason to rent the space across the street if that sale fell through. But in the meantime, I wanted to tell the board I have put our public notice sign there on the property, which is required for a 30-day notice, just trying to get ahead of the 8 ball there. I do believe that we need to submit the proposed drawing plan with dimensions to Rick Turner with his design group to help us with the store layout for shelving and fixtures. I think his cost, Laurie, you can remind me, but doesn't he charge like $2,500 to do a full layout that would be ready to turn over to the landlord for improvements to accommodate the shelving layout? Is that right?
Yeah, I believe that's what it was, yes.
But we can confirm that with him. That's probably an item that we would need to get the board's approval on, so Jackie can authorize us to engage him to do that. But I think we've got everything lined up. I've kept Laura Lee up to date on our progress. She was wondering why we hadn't already sent in a letter to her, and I said, well, until we, sell the building and get a lease negotiated on where we're going to be moving to, I didn't want to waste their time. So I think they're up to speed with us. Phil, I know you probably can add some more to the discussion. Would you like to chime in now?
Sure. So I agree with all the comments and recommendations. I think that moving across the street would be great for a variety of different reasons. Certainly, it allowed us to increase our inventory to reduce that inventory turnover rate, and it would also allow us to service potential new customers. For example, in the Old Town Hall building that the town recently sold it was sold after the town sold it, but at this point, it's owned by the proprietor of Over the Falls restaurant in Wake Forest, and he's going to be opening up a similar style restaurant that's going to serve liquor by the drink, as far as I understand. And so, that would be another, mixed beverage customer. And I anticipate as the town continues to grow that we'll have additional customers, both on the retail side and on the mixed beverage side. So I think there's a variety of different considerations where we'll need more retail space and more warehouse space that would be beneficial. The only other comment that I would share that I don't think has been discussed or might add additional dimensions to this conversation is, to the extent that we can delay the sale and still help the purchaser achieve his goal of taking advantage of like-kind Section 1031 exchange for his tax benefit, I would maybe want to delay the sale into November and/or January. He has to nominate properties within 90 days, which he's already achieved, and then the sale has to be completed within 6 months of his original transaction in order to still. And so, as long as we can still help him achieve that, then I would want to delay the sale if possible, only so that way we're avoiding paying $2,400 a month in rent for our current building. So I just wanted to get your feedback on that. And again, I don't think he would object to that, because his main goal, again, is to acquire the property and reinvest those capital gains from his previous transaction. And I don't really think he cares too much about the $2,400 a month in rent. So other than that, I have nothing else to share.
I know a 10-year term, lease term is normal, but that does lock us in. And there's nothing said here about if we wanted to break the lease, like maybe after 5 years there'd be a penalty, because after 10 years we've missed our window going back across the street. At least I think so. Because 10 years locks. I mean, I know it's going to take 3 or 4 for it to get done across the street, but we would still miss our window.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Mary Margaret. That's a very valid point. I think with the board's authorization, Phil and I will continue to negotiate with Michael on those lease terms.
I would think that would be like I said, maybe 5 years with I can't think of the word, that a fine or whatever for breaking it after 5 or something, or maybe just even a 7-year, because across the street's I'm sure going to take 3 years at minimum to get something. But yeah, I would that's something I would do.
Okay. Well, Phil and I will certainly talk to Michael about that as we continue to negotiate.
Okay.
All right. Does that wrap up our discussion? Does that wrap up our discussion on old business?
I think so.
Yeah, kind of. Are we including the new lease proposal in old business?
Well, I was. Do we need to talk about it more, Danny?
Well, I was just inquiring about the HVAC part of the lease and it may be when we get a little bit closer to this and stuff. But you know, we're going to be responsible, I mean, for maintaining the HVAC and coordinating the annual cleanings and that type of thing. I would think that that should be included with our.
Yeah, Danny, that's a good question. Michael, would you be able to shed light on that? I would assume, based on the general terms, that if let's say the HVAC unit went out for that unit, would we be responsible for replacing it, or would Carroll Atlantic Realty take responsibility for that, Michael?
It would be the responsibility of the tenant as we have it proposed. And we did this in order to keep y'all's costs, keep the overall rent structure down as far as possible for you, but can be negotiated. The existing 2 units, I think it was noted further in the proposal, were both replaced in late 2017.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, those things, I mean, they last 7 to 10 years, based on my experience. So, in a 10-year lease, we may be able to get the entire lease without having to replace it. Do you know how much you spent when you replaced those in 2017? You have that info, Michael?
I don't have that. That was actually a previous owner. There is a new owner of the property now.
Got it.
But they have been maintained since we've taken. I say we, the landlord that I work for, has taken over.
Hey, Danny, I had a similar situation with the bank building there across from the liquor store with the lease negotiation. And what we did before we went into the building is we had I think it's the Wiggins guy right across over there from the pet place. He did and did an inspection. He did like a home inspection, but he inspected the HVAC for us, all the electrical and all that. So that's certainly something that we can have him do at a reasonable price, just to feel confident that the HVAC system's in good shape. But as far as the semi-annual maintenance, that's typical that the tenant would change the filters and everything and have it serviced.
That may be the typical, but I was thinking if we're doing all of that and it, 4 years down the road, it goes completely out, and now, we're going to have to pay $15,000 or $10,000 or whatever it's going to cost for a whole new unit.
Yeah.
But I do understand keeping the cost of the lease down as well. But that's something I think as we get a little bit closer, we may want to talk about again.
Okay.
Yeah, and what we can do if maybe during a due diligence period, or we can negotiate with Michael to have someone come out and we have the town's HVAC systems on a service plan, so the town could send its vendor over and have someone take an inspection. And really, what we're doing is we're just assessing risk, right? It's do we want basically when we're taking responsibility for the unit maintenance and replacement or otherwise, we're essentially placing a bet, if you will, on the fact that it's not going to go out in the 10-year term of the lease. But if we think based on inspection of the unit that it is going to go out, then we could potentially try to put that risk on the realtor or property manager, in which case there might be a premium in the lease. But Rick and I can certainly have a greater discussion with Michael about that. But very good point.
Okay, thank you. No other questions.
And Danny, if you would like to be involved in some of the meetings that we have following up, Todd is no longer on the subcommittee. If you'd like to spend some time with Phil and I working on this, you're more than welcome to join us.
Okay.
Of course, I don't know, with 3 members, I don't think we can do that, can we, Phil?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. But we have some candidates that the board is actually going to be considering for the board next week. So we might,
Okay.
if they end up appointing someone next week, then that would bring it to at least 4, potentially 5. And even at 4, you're not at 50% plus 1, so we would still be able to do that. More information to follow via email on that next week.
Sure. Let's leave that open, Danny.
Well, gentlemen, I'm going back to the HVAC. It just says the tenant's responsible for maintaining. It doesn't say anything about replacing. It doesn't say who replaces it on the lease at all. It just says who's responsible for maintaining it. If you go down and read more. I keep reading over, it doesn't say who replaces it.
So I think it's a very astute observation, Mary Margaret. I think that in practicality, what would happen is one of the parts of that unit would fail, and we would have to maintain it in order to get the AC up and running again. And so, but obviously, as with any mechanical device, there's a point where to replace certain parts may make more sense to just buy a new unit. In which case, in either event, because we're responsible for maintenance, that would really fall on us. So that's kind of that's the way I would interpret that.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so at this point, if we're wrapped up on all that discussion, I just you, Mary Margaret, and Danny, that you all are in agreement for Phil and I to continue to work on negotiating the lease and working towards getting a proposed floor plan layout completed in anticipation of the sale of our building.
Yes,
okay with
I'm
that?
very much
Okay.
agreement. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, great. All right. According to the agenda, there's no new business, but I'll ask you guys, is there anything that you feel like that we need to address now, or do you want to go directly to our reports and other business?
Not from me.
Okay.
No, we're good.
All right. The next item. Hey, Michael, if you need to leave, buddy, I appreciate you getting on the call. It's always good to hear from you.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Okay. You take care.
Yep. Bye.
Is there anything that we need to discuss about the COVID-19 update? Laurie, any comments you have? Hey, Laurie, are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I thought I heard my name, but I was, I don't at this time. We're just, continuing with wearing masks and business as usual.
I'm just curious, how many, tell us about customers coming in the door. Are they wearing masks in general?
Most are, yes.
Okay,
occasionally
good.
we have some that, yeah, most are, yes.
Okay, good. All right, well, I don't really have anything to report other than to just express appreciation, as always, for Emily and Jackie and Phil for all the work they're doing for the board. Mary Margaret, do you have anything you want to report?
No, but I think this is probably my last meeting, so I just wanted to tell you it's been a lot of fun and a lot of education working with all of you. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mary Margaret. We certainly have enjoyed working with you.
Thank you.
You had a very unique perspective to things.
That I do.
Thank
Danny?
you, Mary Margaret.
You're welcome.
I'm not gonna.
It's been a fun 6 years.
I'm not gonna say that as of yet. We still may end up keeping you on a month or two. So fingers are crossed.
Danny, do you have anything you want to bring up?
No, not at all. Just wanted to say I stopped by the store and was actually greeted, and customer service was really, really good. So I was quite pleased. And it was looking pretty good, and it was kind of busy in there too. So sales must be going really, really well, Lori.
They are, definitely.
Jackie, do you have anything you want to bring up?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Danny, if I may ask you, do you know who was working?
I can't remember her name, but it was the heavy set, the black lady.
Okay, I got you. Just like to know about the positive experience.
Yeah, no. I understand. Yeah, definitely give her kudos. She said hi and asked if she could help and everything.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Laura, go ahead. You're next.
I have nothing to add. If we're sorry.
How
We're
is
just
your how is your inventory orders working, or are you still getting a lot of them non-delivered?
Well, for example, say my last order, and we don't get another shipment until the 13th of October, but my last order was 746 cases, and I received 490 cases. So it's still supply and demand issues, and with Mexico, the tequila shortage is still going on, which is not helping with the Fiesta Mexican restaurant. So they have been ordering other tequilas, but we're having really bad problems getting like Patron and the real popular things, Don Julio and stuff like that. But
yeah,
they're working with us, and we're working with them. They understand what's going on, and
I heard that Crown Apple has been in short supply too.
yes, that especially. We actually got salted caramel Crown Royal, and that's not something that we've seen in probably a year or more. And amazingly, it still has not sold out yet. It's all about the Crown and the peach. I mean, the apple and the peach. And positive thing, they are supposed to make the Crown Peach regular item, more easily available in January. But yeah, that's still a very frustrating thing because you're trying to have everything your customers want, and your hands are tied with all of that. So,
well, when you start
Lori,
getting apples, go ahead. Sorry,
Lori, do you keep a book or a record of people, of requests from people? So if something like that comes in, do you call them?
Yes, and I just did that recently with somebody that was looking for something, and yeah, and I do want to add that we've gotten I do a lot of special orders. I probably drive the commission crazy with those, but it's the only way I can get like bourbons that people haven't seen before, and people come in doing their little bourbon hunts and discover something new, and I think that's all a positive thing, especially right now with the shortage of supply going.
Hey, Laura, would it make sense to just order 1,000 cases one time and see how much you get back? Because those inventory levels at 85 and 90 over the last 2 months, I know that's only 2 days during the 60-day period, but I feel like we need to have more inventory in the store than that based on our sales.
If 1,000 cases came in, I'd really be in trouble because I don't know where they're going to put them. But to give you an average, before all of the shortage and everything, our average was maybe 400 cases, depending on if it was a 2-week shipment or a 3-week shipment. Sometimes that would get bumped up to like 500, and like I said, I'm ordering 700 and 800 cases. So.
Okay. So you're taking.
I'm already trying to order extra. And I'm sorry.
That's good.
Yeah. That does not include that number does not include the special orders. I just include the main order.
Okay. I also wanted to commend you on your payroll number. You're coming in at 90% for the last 2 months on what we had budgeted for the year, so that's good news. I know it's a pickup at Christmas time, but if you're watching those numbers every month, like we all are, you're doing a good job on that.
Thank you. We're trying.
All right. Emily, you have anything?
No, sir, I don't have anything today.
Okay, thank you. Phil?
Go ahead, Laura. You were going to make a comment?
I'm sorry. I don't know if this is when I can add anything else in or not. I'm not on the subcommittee or anything like that, and I know there'll be a new manager running the store and all. For whatever remodel, I think it would be positive to consider that the shelving should really not be too high. I mean, like it is in Franklinton. We still hear a lot about that. You know, things need to be relatively eye level, especially your top shelf items. Like
Yeah,
say, an average person able to reach and see them. You know.
Yeah, it will definitely be a joint discussion when we get a plan back from Rick, Lori. We need y'all's input
okay.
from the store.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah, you'll be very involved in that process.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. The only other comment I have, Rick, is I just wanted to ask, Danny, have you completed your ethics training? I think for a couple months ago we received an email from Lori Lee saying that I think maybe you were the only member that needed to take it. It's just like an online-based training. I wanted to see if you had completed that or not.
Oops.
Danny, are you with us?
Yeah, sorry, I had my phone on mute. I have not. I was planning on doing it tomorrow, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, no. No rush. I just know sometimes their reports are delayed, and so I just didn't want anybody harassing you if you'd already done it. But no, take your time. I just wanted to double check.
No, I'll get it done tomorrow.
Sounds great. Thank you, sir. Yeah, absolutely. And then I've got some additional candidates that I'm going to be reaching out to for the store manager position, so I don't really have any update at this time, but certainly look in your email and be receiving some updates. And then as soon as the board considers some additional applications for ABC board members next week, I'll also look out for your email and update on that matter as well. That's all I have, Rick.
Okay. Well, Phil, I can report to the board that the process that you all went through in identifying these candidates was very thorough, and I thought very professional. I've been involved in candidate searches for chamber presidents that involved nationwide recruiting, and I tell you, you did a job that was right up there on the same level as somebody we paid $20,000 for to do the search.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm basically modeling my process after after the firms that you're mentioning. So, but
very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, just rest assured that we're not going to compromise, but I'm certainly being very aggressive in my efforts to try to reach out broadly to those that are interested, and whomever we end up putting in front of you is going to be someone that would be highly qualified and capable of leading the organization and helping Lori and the rest of the team achieve the goals that you all are tasking us with achieving.
Okay, great. All right, is there anyone that feels like we need to go into closed session to matters dealing with personnel today?
I have no issues.
Okay. Danny?
No, unless Emily would like for us just to go in and review and give an approval of the minutes. Other than that, I don't see any reason.
They can wait until our next closed session and we can adopt them then.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, well, everything else being said, I wanted to just bring to everyone's attention it's 9:53, and we will be making a motion here in a moment for adjournment, but I appreciate everybody's attendance and input. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
And a second?
And I'll second.
And all those in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Have a good morning, everybody.